Sentence fragments are phrases that cannot stand as sentences alone because they lack an independent clause. There are several reasons why a group of words may seem to act like a sentence but do not have the requirements to make it as a complete thought. Because of this, they're sometimes hard to spot. The ACT test will include examples of sentence fragments within the choices and expect you to find the appropriate correction for this English mistake. In the classroom, we'll cover common situations where you might see sentence fragments. There's bound to be several sentence fragments that are going to show up on the ACT exam, and you'll be expected to recognize them and fix them. So let's take a look at what a sentence fragment is. Basically, it's a phrase. The phrase describes something but lacks a subject-verb relationship. This is called a verbal phrase, as it wants to modify something, but the real subject, usually the pronoun, he, she, it, is missing. So what we're going to do in this section is take a look at several different types of sentence fragments and what needs to be done to fix them. Let's look at an example of the verbal. Underlined is studying effects of the research in an effort to bring accuracy to his conclusions. To identify if there's a verbal phrase, you find the verb of the sentence. Then find who or what's doing the verb. If the who or what's missing, the sentence must be fixed, most likely by adding the subject. So let's go ahead and take a look at this example. So let's find the verb. Studying the effects of research in an effort to bring accuracy to his conclusions. What is being done? Studying. Okay. So what we're missing here is who. Okay. Who or what is studying? And we don't know. So what we have there is a phrase. So let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to correct it. So in this example, we can add the word he is to the beginning of the sentence. So we have studying effects of research in an effort to bring accuracy to his conclusions. Change that one to he is studying effects of the research in an effort to bring accuracy to his conclusions. So that one was missing a pronoun, as we talked about in that first slide. Let's move on. Other times, it is not the pronoun that's missing, but the verb itself. Another common problem making a sentence fragment is that there may be no main verb. The sentence may have most of the makings of a sentence, but still missing an important part of the verb. So you may have words that are actions, but it's not the main verb. Let's take a look at an example. A long list of accomplishments beginning when the research first began. There's not a real verb in this fragment. The phrase can be fixed by setting it as a direct object, or by adding, I've noticed at the beginning, for example, or by adding a verb such as came about after the word accomplishments and before the word beginning. Let's go ahead and look at the fix. So if this was underlined on the ACT, you had several choices. What would fix it? Making it say, I noticed a long list of accomplishments beginning when the research first began. Because now we have what we needed in the way of a verb, being noticed. That was missing. A long list of accomplishments beginning when the research first began. What about it? Would be something that you could ask. If you say, what about it, and there's no answer, then we have part of the verb missing. If you take that, I noticed, well, what about it was noticed. So that fixes the sentence. Another type is a subordinated phrase. What that means, it's a fragment that has a subject and verb relationship, but it has been subordinated to another idea by a dependent word, so it can't stand by itself. Let me show you an example. Even though he had the better statistics and was by far the more impressive candidate. Taking a look at that first part, he had the better statistics. That could be a sentence in itself. That works. But because it was finished off with was by far the most impressive candidate, it leads us to be missing something. This sentence fragment has a subject, he, and really it has two verbs, had and was. But it can't stand by itself because of the dependent word, even though. Right? That phrase there, even though, means there's got to be something else. The sentence needs an independent clause to follow up the dependent clause. Let's look at a fix for it. Even though he had the better statistics and was by far the more impressive candidate, the politician lost the election because he didn't understand how to campaign. Now we have a complete thought. In conclusion, the ACT exam will have a group of words underlined that must be changed because they are currently a sentence fragment.